Good morning, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to another edition of Jays Latest. I am your host, Craig Borden. We're going to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays baseball as we step up to the plate today. And wow, do we have a lot to talk about. So let's talk first things first before we dive into some trade rumors and everything. Vlad Jr. officially did win his fourth All Star start yesterday. Um, Beating out Paul Goldschmidt really for the final vote for the first base position, and he's going to be the fourth time for the Blue Jays. Obviously, he's got plenty more in the tank here for that whole thing. He now joins a very select group of only two other members for the Toronto Blue Jays that have actually been in four All-Star games as starters. Those are Jose Bautista and Roberto Alomar. So at the end of the day, joining a company like that is slightly crazy, especially when you consider the fact that Vlad is still very young. There's a reason he's going to be playing with the Blue Jays for the entirety of his 10 years that he's got left on his contract. So, anyways, really cool, and yeah, he's already passed halfway to his dad's All Star game voting, by the way, if you were curious about that part of it as well. So, anyway, without further ado, let's talk trade rumors because the fun thing is the Blue Jays, obviously, we're going to talk about here how the bullpen and things kind of led to an interesting game yesterday. So, pitching is going to be the main focus. It appears that the Angels might be souring on their former top draft pick. Just a few years ago, it was the 2020 draft. Reed Detmers was the first round pick, 10th overall. We saw some flashes really early in his career that he could be really good, including a no hitter, all these kind of things, and breeze through their minor league system. But for whatever reason, he just can't find a way to stay consistent. He might have found a home as a lefty in the bullpen for the Los Angeles Angels, especially of late. He's just been mowing through hitters in the bullpen. He has so far this year not gotten any starts, but he's been 34 games, 37 innings, just over 4 ERA, and has some nasty stuff for a lefty as he simplifies things in the bullpen. He's also very much under team control and is currently, I think, 26 is what I saw. Yeah, going to be 26 here in literally 2 days. So for his birthday present, maybe he gets to go to a team that's contending. I'd call that a win. And at the end of the day, he might not be as hard to pry out of the hands of the Los Angeles Angels, but who knows? This is one of those things that he could spell success because he's also a guy that has pitched in the starting rotation. Maybe the Blue Jays find something else that's really, over the next few years that really unlocks that piece to it and they get to run with it. I really kind of like this the more I think about it. I don't think it's going to take a giant pile of stuff to send back because he is now a bullpen arm more than he is anything. But he could be a very good bullpen arm, especially a lefty that could be very good. So I think that's a trade the Blue Jays need to start looking at. Reed Detmers could be a solid piece to this bullpen and help this team take it over the top because, as we're going to talk about, things were a little crazy last night, and it was mostly because of pitching problems. But let's talk the big monster thing. The Yankees no longer are the sole owners of first place. They're currently tied with the Toronto Blue Jays for first. And right now, um, the season came down to it, and even at tiebreakers, we are dead even. The record for the Blue Jays against the Yankees now is split. So this would force a one-game playoff if this was somehow the end of the season. Obviously, the records will not let you do that because it was tipped in an odd number, obviously. So we will see how the rest of this goes. But today is going to be an interesting game at the Sky Dome to see what it goes because it did feel like a playoff game, even watching it on the horrible Yankees network here on Amazon Prime in the States. I, I could not believe watching that comeback. It was making me sick. So let's talk about the game last night because that is where the main part of the story is, and Wild One barely describes this. The Toronto Blue Jays jumped out to a monster lead early in this game. While we were recording the Jaybird Watching podcast last night, they ended the first inning with seven runs on the board, and it was just wild to get there. It started off with the bases loaded right off the bat. Will Warren could not get things going in his direction one way or the other. Kirky drops a double and or a single, I mean, and drives in a pair. It scores Jimenez and Springer, who was betting in a 2-hole. And then why not just push this over the top and drive it to 11? Addison Barger monstrously destroys a ball for a 2-run blast. And just, oh, sorry, 3-run blast. And this thing was a rip. It was 109, almost 110 miles an hour off the bat, and basically hit it off the what would have been the old Windows restaurant, the base of it. Didn't quite make it into the flight deck, though. Very close, but Barge goes wild. And then just a few batters later, Davis Schneider hits his first home run of the night. Scores Will Wagner, puts the Blue Jays up at the time 7-0 to close out the first inning. Blue Jays didn't stop there, kept the throttle to the gas. Andres Jimenez singled in and into the third, scored a couple of, and it just kept going and going. So I was 8-0 Blue Jays at that point. And then the Yankees started to chip away finally at Jose Barrios in the fifth inning. Barrios kind of laid up an egg. DJ LeMahieu, Ben Rice, and others, including Aaron Judge, led up to a Giancarlo Stanton home run that put the Blue Jays only ahead at the time, too. So it's 8-6 now. Cody Bellinger comes in and drives in another run on a little ground ball out. The next one, Davis Schneider saw things getting close, though, in the seventh and decided to make that a little bit more interesting for Blue Jays fans. Puts the Blue Jays up with another home run. That is his first multi-home run game of his major league career. Puts the Blue Jays up 9-7. And it's a good thing that happened, because for some dumb reason, keyword dumb, we decided to pitch to Aaron Judge with runners on second and third, which, by the way, earlier in the game, with that same situation, walked him. No problem. Cody Bellinger hit a little ground ball, scored a run after that, and the Blue Jays eventually got out of the inning. He pitched Aaron Judge in this situation with a 1-2 count, and he destroys this ball. It didn't even look like he even thought about it. He was like, yeah, I'm putting this over the fence. Quack. And his 31st home run of the season ties the game up 9-9 going into the top of the bottom of the eighth. And the Blue Jays, thankfully, get some ducks on the pond, keep things moving around. With the bases loaded again, runners on second and third, which was a very fun one at that point, too, because Springer singles, steals second. Vladdy gets walked intentionally. And in the midst of that whole thing, they get sacrificed over on a giant ball that I thought might have went, but of course Kirky hits it right to dead center, and Kirk gets a nice tag up opportunity here for the guys. They move up to second and third, so now there's runners on second and third with Addison Barger standing at the plate. Wild pitch by Devin Williams, change up that just ate it in the dirt, and scores George Springer, puts the Blue Jays up 10-9. Addison Barger comes in right up after that and hits the single that drives in Vlad Jr. that puts the Blue Jays up for what would be the final score, 11-9. Right? Wild. Just all this crazy stuff that led up to that part. True grit, true battle. Cannot say enough good things about how this team saw the opportunity here. Even when they lost, they didn't take it. They went back and really grinded it out and got it good. Addison Barger had 4 RBIs and went 2 for 4 yesterday. Kirky 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Andres Jimenez continues to just finally continue to move his batting average up past the 200 line. Went 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run scored as well. And then Davis Schneider, the pair of home runs, really tying it up for the Blue Jays. 2 runs scored, 3 RBIs. So very cool to see the Blue Jays get out to such an early lead, and after coughing up something, that they were able to turn this one around and do that. So let's talk tonight. We're going to have Chris Bassett versus Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt has been cruising, everybody. It's going to be an interesting game. It's not going to be what we had with Will Warren yesterday, who has been slumping. Over his last 7 games, he has a 2.09 ERA and a sub-1 whip. He did just give up 4 to the Atlanta Braves in his last outing, but before that, he had not allowed a run in 14 2/3 innings. So Clark Schmidt has been cruising. Meanwhile, Chris Bassett searching for that next piece to it, especially after his last outing in Boston. Only was able to get through 2 innings, 8 earned runs in his last outing, but before that, he had not allowed more than three. His last 7 games is starting to look a little rough. Um, for a guy that was having one of the best years of his career, he's having a little bit of a rough go lately. His ERA has climbed to 4.29 on the season in just under 100 innings. So hopefully we get vintage Bass tonight, and we get that amped up playoff feeling gets him moving, because this is a playoff game at this point. This is, like I said, already right now, this feels like that. And it does have playoff implications, because if we get a better record against the Yankees in the season, we get the tiebreaker for that division thing. So let's get that title, everybody. Be fun. So anyway, make sure you tune in to Jay's latest here every morning. Make sure you check out the Jaybird Watching podcast. Hit like, share, subscribe on both of those, so you can talk all things Toronto Blue Jays for us live every week on the Jaybird Watching podcast every Wednesday evening. Hope you have a great night. Go Blue Jays. Cheers.